it's Teresa here of Larkin Design, and welcome to my Things I Need to Hear series. And so this week, I had a really hard week and a really rotten Monday. So if you ever have really rotten Mondays, then come right on in, pour yourself a cup of coffee, and let's tackle that creatively. And so I am working today with Paige Evans' brand new collection called Turn the Page. And what better way to channel your anxiety and negative emotions than with these cute little 2x2 paper pads that she released. And they're just the cutest things ever, okay? And I'm also working with a cut file from Paper Issues. And so Paper Issues is an online scrapbooking shop and also a Facebook community, and they're very active on Instagram. So if you don't follow them, then you should go do that. And they do these free cut files as well. And so this one is a triangle cut file. And I'm sort of just laying out here. I cut the file using my silhouette just from plain white cardstock, and then I'm layering it on top of basil textured cardstock. And so I have once I lifted the cut file itself off of the mat, I still have the leftover pieces laying on my mat the way that they are cut from the file. I don't know if that makes sense. And I know that there's a lot of different ways that you can cut out these little spaces. I'm just going to do it by hand because triangles are pretty easy to cut out, and there's not a lot of them. I think if you're going to do a lot of these little cut pieces, then you should let the silhouette do the hard work for you. But anyway, so I'm just sort of cutting these randomly. I don't really have any particular method of choosing which paper goes behind which triangle. It just, because they're all pretty. They're all pretty and I love them all. And so I'm just going to cut out the shapes that I want. Some of these little triangles, I'm leaving the triangles there, and some of them I'm cutting out. And so it does take a while, but I can't think of a better way to practice self-care. And so here's what I realized. Here's what I realized this week. I realized way too late, that because that's always how it is, that I was trying to serve my family, and I was trying to fill my family's cups from my own empty cup. And we often come to that realization way too late, right? I usually realize that when I've cut somebody's head off or bit somebody's head off. And that's when I know that it's time that I need to do some things for myself, to call a friend or go have lunch out with a friend or spend some time doing something for myself. And sometimes cutting little papers can be a nice way to do something for yourself too. And putting brush to the paper can be a great way to do something for yourself too, especially if being creative feeds your soul. But sometimes too, you need to just get out of the house. So, go have lunch with a friend or with your husband, or do some things that feed you today, right? Because I think that we run around, especially as moms, we run around like crazy, trying to get everybody where they need to go and trying to help everybody accomplish what they need to accomplish. And then everybody walks out the door and we're like, did anybody even say have a nice day to me? And sometimes they don't. And so we got to go out and find that for ourselves. So that's what I want you to take from my video today is go out and find something today that feeds you and that nourishes you and that fills your cup. So once I get these all cut out and I sort of have them in place, I'm going to add a little bit of color to the white background just for another layer of visual interest. And I'll do that here in just a moment. I think this is the last little triangle, maybe one or two that are left to do. So I'm going to clean up a little bit, and you can see that I've chosen some colors already. I picked up these little tubes of paint from Studio Calico a couple of weeks ago and have not regretted getting those. So here we go. I've got my new sheet of cardstock because I want to keep those little cut triangles. I want to keep them in place for now so I don't forget where they belong. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of these paints and a little bit of water, and I'm going to create my background. And so this is the really therapeutic part here. And I'm sort of starting with the lightest color first, because you can always go darker, but you can't go lighter. And my idea here is to kind of start at the center, and I'm starting underneath these triangles, so it's not really going to be seen, and then I'm working my way out. And I'm sort of creating, and you know, you don't have to overcomplicate this, right? Because this isn't a Vincent van Gogh painting. This is just a textural background. But I'm sort of doing this in a kind of visual triangle here, where the colors are starting in the center and then moving out. That lets me create the darker parts in the center, and then by the time you move your brush out, you have this nice transparent color wash. And I have watered these colors down. You don't have to water these colors down, but I like to do that simply because I don't want you to look at this layout when it's done and say, oh look, there's mint green. It's just a part of the background, this very subtle part here. And so it kind of almost has this little marble feel here, and it's really pretty. I chose the pink and the mint and the gray to bring those out from the Turn the Page collection, and I really liked how this turned out. And then once I have those colors kind of in place, I'm going to do just a few little splatters using the gray paint. And absolutely, yes, I splatter a little bit, and then I make some of the splatters a little bit bigger on purpose, so you can manipulate your paint splatters a little bit to get what you want. And then I dried that off camera. I used my heat gun tool and let it sit and let that paper really get good and dry before I started working with it. And so now I'm going to adhere these little triangles to the cut file itself. And again, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. You can use spray adhesive. I'm not a fan of spray adhesive at all. I don't like it. So I'm just using my tape runner here and letting the excess run off onto that white cardstock, and that'll just be a piece of scrap white cardstock to use for later, some other time. And again, you know, there are so many different ways to do this. This is just how it worked for me today. And so I'm going to just adhere all of these down. I'm just checking every one that I put down, just checking to make sure that it's in the right place. You know, it'll stand out. It'll stand out if it's not in the right place, obviously. But it's not very complicated. And I really enjoyed it. I just enjoy the process of, you know, doing things creatively working with these pretty colors and just relaxing here. I think it's a great way to practice self-care. So if scrapbooking and doing things creatively is not on your self-care list, then you should put that on your list, and you should make an effort to scrapbook and to do creative things every day. So, and now I have that adhered. And so here's my title here. What I'm working on is I had these days of the week veneers from Freckled Fawn. They've been sitting on my desk a couple of days and been sort of mulling over what I could do with them. And because Monday was such a hard day, when I opened those that pack, there were 2 of each day of the week in it. And when I saw the Mondays, I immediately thought about that song Monday, Monday from the Mamas and the Papas. And so then I went to look up the words of that song, and that became what I wanted to make as my title. So I'm going to use the Monday, Monday, and then I'm going to add more of the text from the song. But first I wanted to stamp a little bit. So the collection, the Turn the Page collection, has these layered stamps, and I realized I need more stamp pads, because I didn't have enough pinks to really do the layering, but I did layer with the gray. So just a way you can use those stamps. They're really cute, and definitely worth getting for the cute little butterflies and the little flowers and the stars. So a lot of good uses for that stamp set. So I'm just doing that around the page, and that's sort of my go-to stamp technique. I just add them around the page. Yeah, so it's fun, not very complicated. And then once I get that done, I'll clean those later. I'm going to put everything away, and then I'm going to work on the rest of this title. So I'm going to use the alphabet that comes with the Turn the Page collection, and you guys, I end up using all the T's. Usually I end up using all the W's and all the E's first, but this time I'm going to use all the T's. So the title is going to be, it's like the second verse in this song, and it says, sometimes it just turns out that way. And yeah, I can remember my mom telling me that when I was growing up. Sometimes that's just how it goes. And yeah, so find, instead of dwelling on it, instead of beating yourself up over it, right? Just keep on going, pick yourself up, and give yourself some grace. So this is obviously kind of a long title here. I'm pulling out all my rulers to try to get a feel for how I want to arrange these letters on the page. And I know that I want it sort of across the bottom. I'm just not sure how it's going to fit here. So I'm going to lay them all out on my rulers first. Of course, plus I'm going to make sure that I don't have a typo. And here's where I figure out that I'm out of T's. And so I'm going to try to figure out what I want to do to make up for not having these T's. And I'm going to end up using the I's. It just takes me a minute to figure out. And I'm just going to cut off the bottom parts of those I's so that there'll be little T's. And that's fine. That works out. And so once I have these all laid out on the ruler, now I have an idea or a visual idea of how they're going to fit on the page. I don't have Monday down yet because I wanted to wait until I knew for sure how these were going to fit on here. And I think what's going to happen is that they're going to go all the way across the bottom. I raised up the photo just a little bit so I would have enough room and not run off the page. So now I'm ready to start adhering things down. And now I'm committing here. And to tie everything together, I'm going to let the words overlap the photo just a little bit here. This is a photo I took Monday. I was working on some of the last videos for my class called In My Pocket Memory Keeping Class. Be sure to check that out. There's links on my blog. There's links on my YouTube. This is the last week that my class is actively running. It's still going to be available. It's a self-paced class for pocket page memory keeping, and you can sign up anytime and go through at your own pace. So I was filming some of the last videos and took this quick headshot and decided that that would be the photo I would use for this layout. And so on this title, it ended up that there's a nice little bit of space here in between all of the lines. And I'm not overly concerned about whether these are perfectly straight or not. But I do like that it ended up just the way that it's spaced out. That there was some white space in between each of the lines. And so I'm going to use that space for my journaling. I don't know that I was really intending that, but sometimes it's just a little bit of scrapbooking serendipity where you go, oh, where's my journaling going to go? Well, look, there's the perfect spot for it. I did run this through my sewing machine to adhere those alphabets down a little bit more securely. If you do that, run your machine just slightly above or below the centers. It didn't really like the middle of those E's or the middle of the was it the W's and the M's. It didn't really like. But right now I'm just I covered up the back of those seams with washi tape just to help make them more secure. And then you can see where I added my journaling. I also wanted to do just a few tiny little embellishments. At this point, it doesn't need much more. But I did want to add this little banner at the top, just to secure that boundary. Every time that we have something that touches the edge, we're securing the boundary. So your eye knows, oh, that's the top of the page. Oh, that's the right-hand side of the page. So it's a good idea to touch the edges of your page sometimes. I also wanted to add a few of the puffy stickers because I can't resist puffy stickers. And those are particularly adorable. So just some of those little flowers, I just used them almost like enamel dots. And the little bird is so cute. He's like sitting on my shoulder telling me. And then I think with that, the layout is done. So I hope you've enjoyed this little journey today of self-care. I hope you will like and comment and subscribe. Tell me the things that are on your list for self-care. Comment below, and then I'll see you back here again soon. Thanks again, you guys. Bye-bye.